one of the things that I want to talk about is the marketing function. And I think there's a very famous classic HBR article about has HR lost its seat at the
Boardroom.
boardroom or something. And that really talks about how the HR function over the years. And, it's a classic article because, classic articles always remain true over time, is it has not performed to its potential. It's not operating at the same level as the other lead functions. It's not answerable for strategy. It has gotten too tactical, etc. At some level, I wanted to, and the real reason I'm interested in this is because I feel personally, as someone who quote unquote majored in marketing as part of their MBA way back in 2001. But honestly, I don't think like anything that I studied in 2001 as part of marketing in the Kotlers and the various other books is relevant now. But that said, there used to be a time when people who headed marketing functions, and no disrespect, Dipali, since we're kind of talking about like a decadal, multi-decadal path where marketing functions, people who headed marketing functions, etc., were powerful. They decided the courses of companies, and like you said, what's happening with consumer behavior, what should we do, what kind of products should a company make. It seems to me today, over the last, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years, if you want to take it, if you look at it as a trend, it seems to be coming down. The strategic relevance of the marketing function or its ability to command that respect on the boardroom, just like I give the example of the HR function, seems to be in decline.
So
right?
who has respect according to you?
Actually, if you ask me, we are sadly living in the cult of the founder, right? Where, in some senses, functional expertise has, in various functions, has gotten less and less relevant. And we are all kind of in this godlike awe of companies and their founders. And we really don't want to know anything much beyond. So that's a larger story, right? Coming back to marketing, I don't know. I just feel like there are fewer and fewer people out there as role models or people who are essentially saying things like, the insights that you mentioned, like, for example, crack cream, or like, marketers who are able to state a point which is sometimes counterintuitive and are not just growth marketers, which is essentially looking at what data they're getting from social media and mobile apps and all sorts of data collection platforms and saying, hey, great, this is what the data tells us, this is what we should be doing, which is kind of like a loop where you just go
Rohin,
deeper and
I
deeper
have
into. Yes, please, Dipali, feel
I have a
free.
very longish comment on this.
Yes. Is it a rant? We love rants.
No,
Please rant.
I have a longish comment. Okay, so if I were to divide this, one part of what Rohan is saying is that look, marketing may not have a seat on the board any longer, and to that I'm saying, when did they have it at all? I have not heard outside of FMCG companies, marketers ever making CEOs. Can you name one financial services company where marketer was a CEO? Can you name one IT company where a marketer was a CEO? Can you name too many marketers who are on the boards of companies, even if they're in 60s and 70s? So, did marketing ever, have a seat on the table? Is a question that I think I want to ask. Having said that, therefore, Rohin, where I'm refuting you is to say, look, it never was there, So it's not a new phenomena.
I like how
The sec-
Dipali's argument is essentially either something is changing now, but this change was always happening and there is nothing new, or
Yeah.
there does not have a seat at the table now, but this was always the case.
No, but
Yeah.
Dipali, the
Yeah,
point
but
that
okay,
you made,
but no. Praveen, you're provoking now, so therefore I will react to that.
I
Please.
hope,
I
yeah, we are
want
not moving on from
I
this
want to
point.
Yeah,
observe,
yeah.
I want to put an
Yes.
observation onto what has changed. Okay.
Okay.
I think marketing in the last 15 years has gone through a huge metamorphosis. Okay. So, what Rohin was referring to, which is that, marketing being growth hacking, marketing being assisting sales, marketing doing performance marketing, marketing doing lead generation. So, there is this emergence of, chief business officers, chief growth officers, chief digital officers. what they're doing is a lot of the work that they do is the discipline of marketing, but it demonstrates itself differently inside organizations. The KPIs are sales, the KPIs are cost per lead, cost per sale, and things like those. Now, there are two ways of looking at that metamorphosis. Somebody like me was extremely happy about it because it actually gave me a seat on the table. Because, when I grew a business, and this is real number I'm talking about, from contributing 7% to the company top line, and I grew it to 15%, I had a seat on the table. I could actually ask, what changes are you making to the product and pricing? Before that, as a marketer, I could only recommend, I could only suggest, I could only, implore, right? So I think that was an opportunity that happened for in this metamorphosis. The second thing that changed was the ecosystem changed. You earlier had, let's say, a marketer had one market research agency and one communications agency. From when I started work, it disintegrated somewhere in the year 2000 into media agency, creative agency, PR agency, right? And it disintegrated again, in about 2010 into a digital media agency, digital creative agency, ATL creative agency, PR agency, and a digital PR agency, and whatnot. Okay. And you needed a sutradhar. Ideally, the
Correct.
CMO should have been a sutradhar. But what Rohan is proposing is right. What has happened is, because this impacts the business so closely, the founder has become that sutradhar.
Correct.
You know?
Okay,
Now,
fantastic. Go on, please. No,
sorry.
finish your point, Dipali.
Yeah, so I don't know if 30% of the job of the Sutradhar, which is the founder, that they're doing, is the CMO's job. According to me, it is, and that's my proposal. And therefore, yes, the role of the CMO and the job description of the CMO may have changed. But I'm not questioning marketing. Marketing's importance remains. But there is a new org design. There is a new org structure. There is a new job description that is assigned to, different roles. Just like the ecosystem changed, inside my organization also, I have a social media manager, I have a social media monitoring manager, I have a PR manager, I have a digital manager, I have a campaign manager, roles that did not exist 15 years ago. No? So this metamorphosis may have uh, meant that the CMO role has got impacted, but not marketing as a function. It's just that somebody
So,
else is doing the role.
So, Dipali, here's what I'm going to. Actually, you have taken and made my strongest arguments for me, because fundamentally, what's happening is that I'm going to push and take that to its logical
But I
extreme.
didn't think that you and I were on different sides. Did you think
Oh, we'll
that?
find out in some time. At the end of the podcast, we'll all end up in different places. So, I think I'll say a couple of things. Number one, which is that I'm going to push that a little bit forward. You basically said that the role has metamorphosized. The word that I am using is that the entire function has been unbundled. It has been fragmented. And this is essentially partly because of all the complication that you're saying with respect to media agencies, brand agencies. You have all of these other things that's going on. But the other kind of fragmentation is happening is because the media itself has fragmented. There used to be a time when marketing used to be put some money in newspapers, put some money in radio, put some money in billboards, and put some money in television. Now there is things like, say, influencer marketing, social marketing, SEO, analytics, marketing technology software. So there is a buffet style expectation to dabble in everything. Now I want to get the professor in because
But
I'm
by
going
the
to
way,
get a
the
quote.
FMCG companies, I have to say this, FMCG companies do not do SEO, okay?
That I don't think they would need to do SEO. But I'll just get the professor in. Now, there's a story that we did at the Ken. It's basically about the chief marketing officer, something that we have touched upon in our early discussion, which we'll go into a little bit later. But here's this quote, and I'm quoting Seema Chawla, who's a business consultant and a fractional CMO. She used to be the former CMO at Agio, Mattel, and Disney Plus Hotstar International. And this is what she's saying, quote, if a CMO has no control on the product, they are no different from an in-house communications team. Now, Professor, the reason I'm putting this to you is because I sat in your class and I listened to you teach me about the 4 P's of marketing. And I quote from our story, take the 4 P's of marketing. In e-commerce, product is handled now separately. It's no longer a part of marketing. Price is set by retailers. Place is determined by app stores and algorithms, which leaves that the marketing head has to focus only on promotion. So there is also this lack of power that's happening to marketing heads because things have changed.
You are just as powerful as you want to be, Praveen. That is the point. The point is very simply this. Marketers are paid at the end of the day for insights. That is what they are paid for. You can get all this information. Let me put it this way to you. If there is no CMO, we'll invent one. Let us put it that way. Which essentially means somebody will become Sutradhar, to use the word that she's. I don't know who it is. We'll find out who that is.
Can you define, what do you mean by someone will become Sutradhar? What is the Sutradhar thing?
You're telling me I don't have, all these things are, what was at one point of time a person to whom you can, from whom you can get some insight or get something saying that, okay, so this is the view of marketing, or this is what we have to do. Now what is happening, as you said, you have so many media fragments, so much of media fragmentation, platform fragmentation, all sorts of things. And then, the discipline itself actually getting fragmented. So all the more reason actually you will have somebody, if that is done by a CEO, the CEO will become the CMO de facto. If it is or old-fashioned retro, after all doing this song and dance, if you can go back to CMO, how do we know? I mean, how do we know? We won't find a guy, boss, this is just getting too much. Remember, we went on outsourcing till we discovered COVID, that boss, we have to get out of China now. Yeah, we might actually get to a point where I think so much of fragmentation, where is the elephant in the room? Where is the elephant in the room? What's the insight? Do you have any insight? All these things put together,
Sorry,
ultimately,
Professor, could I interrupt you on this point that you make about insight? And you said something very interesting while you were speaking. You said you used to go to the marketing function or the marketing head for insight and asked, what should we do? Right? I feel increasingly the question that's being asked of marketing functions and heads is, what do you do, or what did you do? So in some senses, it's become a more sales-driven, outcome-driven function, whereas insight, by definition, is not an immediate or a short-term thing. It is, tell us the direction where we should be going, tell us what insights you're seeing from consumers, tell us how we should think about products. And now, sadly, it's usually the other way around, where a marketing function is asked to justify its existence through sales, outcomes, etc. Do both of you feel that shift has happened from what should we do to what do you do for the marketing function?
I'm saying, why? Fine. Anybody can ask you anything. You can answer the question and say, that is not what I'm here for, if you don't mind. So you can just say that that's not really what I'm supposed to do. I'll tell you the sales numbers. I'll give you these things. I'll give you all the footprints that won't tell you the story. This is like the thing about Andha Hastya Nyaya, right? You get the trunk, you get the tusk, you get the tail, but you don't get the elephant. I'm telling you who the elephant is. I can give you the tail. Just call the CDO, he'll tell you. He reports to me, I have no issue. So, I can get all this information, but at the end of the day, there's one line that you want to hear. What should be done?
What you have just listened to is a small part of the discussion we had with Professor YLR Moorthi and Deepali Nair. Professor Moorthi teaches marketing at IIM Bangalore, and Deepali Nair is currently the Group CMO at the CK Birla Group. As I mentioned, this was just part of the conversation that we had. You can tune into the full conversation on the Ken app by becoming a premium subscriber or by simply subscribing to us on Apple Podcasts. I must add though that a subscription to the Ken will get you a lot more than just 2x2. You'll get to read amazing, insightful stories from the world of business and startups and get access to all of our premium newsletters and visual stories. But if you're not sure about that, don't worry. Think of this episode as a trailer, because we'll be unlocking this episode a few weeks later to all of our basic and free subscribers as well for a limited time. Until then, feel free to check out the older episodes of 2x2. You might find a few of the unlocked episodes there as well. This episode of 2x2 was produced by Hari Krishna, with mixing and mastering for this episode done by our resident sound engineer Rajiv CN. I'm Praveen Gopal Krishnan, and we'll be back next Thursday with a new episode.